In life and work, two kinds of skills shape a person's future. The first are hard skills, and the second are soft skills. Hard skills are the technical abilities linked to a specific profession or field. These are the skills we can easily identify, test, and measure, such as programming, accounting, business management, marketing, design, or data analysis. They are the visible skills people usually mention on a resume. Most of us grow up believing these are the most important skills because school and college spend so much time teaching us technical knowledge and subject-based learning. But there is another category of skills that often decides how far a person will actually go in the real world. These are soft skills. Soft skills include the personal qualities and inner abilities that shape the way we communicate, respond to pressure, handle people, solve problems, build trust, and lead others. These skills are not developed by memorizing answers or simply passing exams. They are built through awareness, practice, patience, and everyday experience. Even though they are less visible than technical skills, they often make a person far more valuable inside a company or any professional environment. Think about a person who is highly skilled in programming. That person may know the work perfectly and may be technically brilliant. But if they cannot speak with confidence, struggle to work with others, avoid responsibility, or fail to lead when the moment demands it, their growth can stop very quickly. Technical knowledge may help someone get an opportunity, but soft skills often determine whether that opportunity turns into long-term success. In the workplace, people are not judged only by what they know, but also by how they behave, how they communicate, and how they make others feel. The problem is that our education system rarely prepares us for this reality. We are taught mathematics, science, history, music, and language. But very few people are taught how to face an interview, express ideas clearly, persuade people, understand emotions, or build strong relationships. Yet these are the exact abilities that influence promotions, leadership, and career satisfaction. After decades of experience as an entrepreneur, Ronnie Screwvala came to understand that these invisible skills often matter more than we realize. They are a major reason people get hired, promoted, trusted, and remembered. In a world changed by technology and constant competition, soft skills help us stand out, stay relevant, and build a career that is not only successful, but deeply fulfilling. Welcome to Neuro Whispers. In the first chapter, the book turns to a powerful skill that can instantly make a person more memorable: storytelling. Whether you are giving a presentation, making a pitch, or simply introducing yourself in an interview, one of the strongest ways to begin is with a simple line. Let me tell you a story. People may forget facts, titles, and technical details, but they rarely forget a story that makes them feel something. A good story captures attention, creates connection, and helps people understand who you are beyond your resume. It can even cross barriers of language and culture because emotions are universal. The author explains this through a simple example. Imagine two candidates, Akos and Curran, applying for the same data science role at a healthcare company. They have similar education, similar experience, and both are asked the same question. Tell us about yourself. Why should we hire you? Akos answers the way most people do. He repeats what is already written on his resume, listing jobs, qualifications, and responsibilities. Everything he says may be correct, but nothing about it stands out. Curran takes a different path. He says that although the interviewers have already read his background, his real interest in health care and data science began when his mother faced a medical emergency. He explains how that painful moment made him realize that better digital records and predictive systems could save lives. Suddenly, his skills are no longer just technical abilities. They are connected to purpose, and that is exactly what makes him unforgettable. That is the real power of storytelling. It is not about entertaining people for no reason. It is about making an idea meaningful by connecting it to human experience. In truth, most of us are already storytellers without realizing it. Every time someone asks, "How was your day?" and we explain what happened, we are telling a story. So the question is not whether we can tell stories. The question is whether we can use them well in professional life. The book makes an important point here. Not every moment needs a story. If you turn everything into a dramatic tale, people will lose interest. Stories work best when used at the right moment to highlight one key idea. They should be short, simple, and clear. Usually 1 or 2 minutes is enough. A story should not confuse the listener. It should make a complex idea easier to understand and easier to remember. Ronnie Scralla shares a moment from his own life to show this. During a long debate with his team, no one could make a final decision. Instead of forcing an answer, he told them a story from childhood about learning to swim. He was too afraid to jump in until his father suddenly threw him into the deep end. In panic, he fought the water, found his balance, and began to swim. The lesson was immediate. Sometimes in life, you simply have to take the leap. That story was short, vivid, honest, and impossible to ignore. The author also warns against exaggeration. A good storyteller does not need to lie or decorate reality. Authentic stories are always stronger. Trust grows when people feel that your story is real. And like every soft skill, storytelling improves with practice. By observing great speakers, collecting personal experiences, and learning how to express them clearly, anyone can become a better storyteller and a far more powerful communicator. In the next chapter, the author focuses on a quality that quietly separates strong professionals from average ones: the habit of taking responsibility instead of complaining. At some point in life, usually during our teenage years, we begin to understand a hard truth. If we want to become something, build a career, or create a better future, no one else can do that work for us. Parents can guide us, teachers can support us, and employers can give us opportunities, but in the end, our growth depends on our own effort. This lesson becomes even clearer when we step into our first job. Very quickly, we realize that promotions, better salaries, stronger skills, and greater respect do not appear automatically. They come to people who decide to take ownership of their progress. The author is not saying that we must do everything alone. Asking for help is not weakness, and teamwork is essential in every good company. But there is a big difference between seeking support and developing the habit of blame. When work becomes stressful, many people begin complaining about their boss, their colleagues, the system, or the company itself. That attitude slowly damages trust. Employers value people who can stay steady under pressure, understand the task in front of them, and move toward action. Too often people wait for instructions, compare themselves to others, or look around to see who will move first. The book argues that this mindset must change. Initiative matters, self-awareness matters, responsibility matters. Here the author warns against entitlement, the belief that one naturally deserves special treatment, rewards, or success without earning them. In the workplace, this attitude is deeply unattractive because it shows immaturity and weak team spirit. Entitled people often complain the most, make excuses quickly, and blame others for their own mistakes. By contrast, valuable employees are solution-oriented. They do not spend all their energy pointing at what is wrong. They look for what can be improved and begin working on it. This also applies to personal development. Instead of asking, "What is my company doing to improve me?" a better question is, "What can I do to improve myself?" Strong managers notice self-motivated people. They trust those who take ownership, admit mistakes honestly, and keep learning without being pushed. Real leadership begins there. Good leaders do not throw failure onto the team. They step forward, accept responsibility, and help find the way ahead. Ronnie Scuvala's message is simple: talk less, work more. In a world full of noise, the people who rise are usually the ones whose actions speak the loudest. When a problem appears, do not only describe it. Bring a plan. Become the kind of person who can say with calm confidence, "I know what to do." Once others begin to feel that they can rely on you, your role grows, your responsibilities grow, and your value grows with them. In the next chapter, the author talks about empathy and explains why it should never be mistaken for weakness. Empathy means being able to understand what another person may be feeling. It means stepping outside your own point of view for a moment and trying to see a situation through someone else's eyes. In any workplace, this ability has real power. It builds trust, strengthens relationships, and inspires people to give their best. But empathy is not about becoming overly emotional or letting others take advantage of you. It is about knowing when to be understanding, how to respond with maturity, and where to draw the line. The author makes it clear that showing empathy at work does not mean you are soft, weak, or easy to fool. A strong manager or team leader can be firm and still be kind. In fact, the best leaders are often the ones who know how to do both. Workplaces are filled with human beings, not machines, and every person brings a private life into the office with them. Family pressure, Health issues, stress, anxiety, and personal struggles often affect performance in ways that are not immediately visible. A wise leader understands this reality and responds with both awareness and balance. Imagine you lead a sales team and hold a Zoom meeting every morning at 9:00. After the first 15 minutes of updates, each member shares progress. You notice that for several days, Sita keeps joining at exactly 9:15. One day after the meeting, you call her and ask what is going on. She says her internet connection is causing the delay, but because it happens at the same time every day, you sense that there may be something more behind the excuse. An unempathetic response would be to accuse her immediately. A weak response would be to ignore the pattern. A better response is calm and thoughtful. You might say, "If something personal is affecting you, you can tell me." But it is difficult to believe that your internet only fails during those exact 15 minutes every day. That kind of response does two things at once. It shows concern and it also shows awareness. You are giving her space to be honest while making it clear that you are not naive. That is the balance empathy requires. You do not have to solve everyone's life. You do not need to become a therapist for your team. Sometimes listening with attention and giving someone a few honest minutes is enough. People may not always remember your advice, but they remember how safe or respected they felt while speaking to you. That is why empathy is one of the foundations of leadership. When people believe that you genuinely care, they trust you more, respect you more, and become more willing to work hard with you. The author also reminds us that empathy should not appear only during difficult times. It matters in happy moments too. A promotion, a wedding, the birth of a child, recovery from illness, or even a personal milestone can become an opportunity to connect. When leaders notice both pain and joy, they create loyalty. Over time, that culture spreads through the team. Empathy reduces friction, encourages teamwork, and brings people closer. In the end, it does not make you less powerful. It makes your strength more human, and that is what people remember. In the next chapter, the author explores one of the smartest attitudes a professional can develop, the mindset of lifelong learning. Ronnie Scrila says that people often ask him two questions. What is the biggest lesson he has learned? And what is the biggest mistake he has made? His answer is surprising. He says he has not yet learned his biggest lesson and he has not yet made his biggest mistake. At first, that may sound unusual, but it reveals a powerful way of thinking. It means he keeps his mind open. He does not assume he already knows enough. He believes there is always more to understand, more to improve, and more to prepare for. That is exactly what it means to future-proof your career. It means protecting your professional life from uncertainty by refusing to become mentally fixed. Even if you're already skilled, experienced, or successful, you cannot afford to stop learning. The world of work is changing too fast. New tools appear, industries shift, technology transforms entire roles, and people who were once comfortable suddenly find themselves behind. The safest career is not the one built on yesterday's strengths. It is the one that keeps adapting. The author admits that while he is strong in areas like marketing, innovation, and creativity, he does not consider himself naturally strong in numbers, finance, or technology. Instead of avoiding those weaknesses, he studies them. That is an important lesson. Growth does not come from staying only with what feels easy. It comes from identifying where you are weak and choosing to improve before the market forces you to do it. Many people still believe that once they have a college degree, the learning part of life is over. They see extra courses, workshops, and training as a waste of time or money. But that thinking is dangerous. In today's world, jobs do not stay safe just because someone has been doing the same work for years. Earlier generations could often spend decades in one role without major retraining. That is no longer true for most people. Today, the cost of not upgrading yourself can be much higher than the cost of learning. Losing relevance is expensive. The chapter also shows that growth can happen in different ways. You can go deeper in your current field, or you can grow wider by learning related skills. For example, a digital marketer who mainly runs Facebook and Instagram ads can expand into analytics, copywriting, YouTube strategy, automation, or customer psychology. That makes them far more useful than someone who knows only one narrow task. A person with 6 strong skills will usually create more value than someone with only 3. And if your work begins to feel repetitive or meaningless, that may be a signal that you need a new challenge. You can explore another department, ask for a new project, or push yourself into unfamiliar territory? Even if the answer is no, the habit of taking initiative still matters. The message of this chapter is simple but urgent. Do not wait for a crisis, a warning, or a bad review before you start improving. Keep learning while things are still going well. That is how you protect your future and stay valuable in a changing world. In the next chapter, the author challenges a belief that many people still carry from an older world. The idea that a stable career is always the safest career. For earlier generations, that idea often made sense. Many people could join one company, do steady work for years, climb slowly, and retire with security. But the modern world no longer works in such a predictable way. Entire industries can rise quickly and collapse just as fast. Technology can transform roles almost overnight. Companies that seem secure today can struggle tomorrow. If industries themselves are unstable, then depending only on the hope of a safe and steady career can become dangerous. That is why the author argues that instead of aiming only for stability, we should aim for high career growth. He explains that true safety now comes from becoming more valuable, more skilled, and more adaptable. Many people go to work every day with a quiet goal of staying in the middle. They do not want negative attention, but they also do not want to stretch themselves enough to stand out. On the surface, that feels safe. But in reality, being average can be one of the riskiest places to be. When managers evaluate performance, they quickly notice who is adding real value and who can be replaced. A person who only does the minimum may survive for a while. But once the company finds someone younger, sharper, or better trained, that safe position becomes fragile. High career growth does not mean chasing a title just to look ambitious. It means caring enough about your future to keep growing on purpose. It means taking responsibility for learning, upgrading your skills, accepting bigger challenges, and refusing to become too comfortable. Instead of waiting for the company to create opportunities, you begin creating them yourself. You volunteer for extra tasks, read deeply about your industry, study new tools, and stay open to learning from experts. Over time, this becomes a habit, not a one-time effort. The author also addresses a common excuse. Many people say they are too busy with family responsibilities or daily pressure to keep learning. But the book makes a powerful point. One of the best ways to protect your family's future is to increase your own professional value. The more skilled and dependable you become, the harder it is to replace you. That often leads not only to job security, but also to better pay, stronger confidence, and more meaningful work. Ronnie Scravala says that when he hires people, he looks closely at two qualities. The first is attitude. People with high growth potential are prepared, hardworking, open-minded, respectful, realistic, and ready to learn. The second is problem-solving ability. Strong professionals do not waste energy asking what reward they will get first. They focus on solving the challenge in front of them and helping the team move forward. That is why they are trusted, promoted, and remembered. In the end, the chapter's message is clear. Stability may feel comfortable, but growth is what truly protects your future. In the next chapter, the author turns to one of the most practical realities of working life: conflict. No matter how talented, mature, or professional people are, disagreement cannot be avoided forever. Whenever different personalities, ambitions, pressures, and working styles come together, friction is natural. The real question is not whether conflict will happen, but how we handle it when it does. According to the book, strong relationships survive not because people never clash, but because they learn how to compromise, show respect, and move forward without letting every disagreement become permanent damage. The author suggests that when conflict happens with a boss or colleague, the first step is to calm down. Before defending yourself or blaming someone else, pause and reflect. Ask yourself whether your tone was too harsh, your words too careless, or your expectations too unclear. Many professional problems become worse not because of bad intentions, but because of poor communication. That is why self-reflection matters. If you made a mistake, accept it. If your words hurt someone, apologize sincerely. A genuine "I'm sorry" is not a sign of weakness. It shows humility, maturity, and the willingness to put the team above your ego. People remember that. It tells them that you're not difficult to work with and that you care more about solving the problem than winning the moment. The chapter also reminds us that forgiveness matters just as much as apology. When someone honestly admits a mistake, it is often wiser to let go and move ahead. Kindness is not softness. It is one of the most useful social strengths a professional can have. In most companies, even strict bosses do not actually want constant turnover. Hearing and training new people takes time, money, and energy, and there is no guarantee that a new employee will fit the team well. That is why building healthy working relationships matters so much. One of the most interesting ideas in this chapter is how to build a better connection with your boss. The author says that many bosses genuinely enjoy giving advice, especially when they feel respected. So instead of approaching only with excuses or complaints, approach with clarity and humility. You might say, "I'd really value your advice on something." Then explain the situation honestly and briefly. If you missed a deadline or failed to hit a target, admit it without blaming others. Then ask for guidance on how to improve. This does two things at once. It shows accountability and it makes your boss feel trusted and respected. That combination is powerful. The author also advises staying away from workplace drama and refusing to take sides when you do not know the full story. You do not need to join every argument to prove loyalty. Sometimes the wiser move is to remain fair, calm, and professional. At the same time, building relationships outside formal work matters too. Spending a little time with colleagues over dinner or a casual activity can strengthen trust and create better teamwork. In the end, this chapter teaches that conflict does not have to break relationships. Handled well, it can actually turn tension into understanding and turn clashes into stronger connections. In the next chapter, the author talks about mentorship, but in a way that is very different from the popular idea many people carry. Ronnie Scuvala says he never had one great mentor who appeared like a guide with all the answers. No one took him aside and revealed the secret formula for success. Instead, he learned the most from people who asked him difficult questions. For him, that is one of the purest forms of mentorship. Real guidance does not hand you ready-made answers. It pushes you to think harder, look deeper, and make better decisions for yourself. The author warns against what we can call the tutor trap. This happens when a person becomes too dependent on someone else for direction, approval, and clarity. In school, we are used to teachers guiding us through every subject, correcting our mistakes, and checking whether we are right or wrong. But professional life does not work like that. At work, nobody is supposed to keep holding your hand, rechecking every thought, or deciding everything for you. If you wait for that kind of support, your growth becomes weak. A true mentor does not turn you into a dependent follower. A true mentor helps you become someone who can think and act with independence. That is why the book explains that a good mentor does not need to be older, more famous, or from the same industry. Sometimes younger people ask the most surprising questions, the kind that break your assumptions and make you see something new. Sometimes the best mentor is simply someone who thinks differently from you. If you are highly analytical, perhaps you need someone more intuitive and creative. If you are emotional and instinctive, maybe you need someone calm, structured, and practical. The value of a mentor often comes not from similarity, but from contrast. They help you notice what you have ignored. The author also says that mentors can come from anywhere. They may be from your workplace, but they could also be a friend, a family member, a coach, or even a spiritual guide. What matters most is not their job title. What matters is whether you respect their values, admire the way they think, and trust the quality of their judgment. And above all, a strong mentor is usually a strong listener. They do not rush to speak. They ask sharp questions, force you to reflect, and leave you with more clarity than you had before. The book even suggests a simple way to approach such a person. You can say that you admire how they think and make decisions, and ask whether they would be open to a short coffee conversation because you would value their perspective. That kind of request shows respect without sounding needy. Then when the meeting happens, come prepared, know what you want to discuss, listen carefully, write down the important points, and always thank them sincerely. The chapter ends with one more beautiful idea. You can also become this kind of person for someone else. Mentorship does not always require long speeches or huge effort. Sometimes one thoughtful conversation, one smart question, or one moment of honest guidance can leave a lifelong impact. That is the kind of mentorship that truly matters. Conclusion. As we come to the final part of this book, the message becomes very clear. Success in today's world is not built by technical knowledge alone. It is built by the soft skills that shape how you think, act, connect, and grow over time. Throughout this journey, the book has shown us that these invisible skills are often the ones that make the biggest difference in real life and real careers. It began with storytelling, the ability to turn ideas into something human, memorable, and easy to understand. A good story helps people connect with you, trust you, and remember your message long after the conversation is over. Then the book showed why successful people become problem solvers instead of complainers. Blaming others, making excuses, and constantly whining only weaken your position. People who rise are the ones who focus their energy on finding solutions. From there, the author took us into empathy, reminding us that strength and sensitivity can exist together. A strong leader is not someone who ignores people's struggles, but someone who understands them without losing clarity or authority. Empathy builds trust, respect, and loyalty, and that is why it remains one of the most powerful leadership qualities. The book then emphasized the importance of becoming a lifelong learner. In a world that keeps changing, the only safe career is the one that keeps growing. Learning new skills, staying curious, and keeping an open mind are no longer optional. They are essential. We also learned why aiming only for stability can quietly become a trap. Real security comes from growth, not comfort. The more responsibility you can handle and the more problems you can solve, the more valuable you become. Then came the lesson on building connections. Conflict is part of life, but strong people know how to apologize, forgive, seek advice, and move forward with maturity. Finally, the chapter on mentorship reminded us that the best guidance does not make us dependent. It challenges us to think better and decide better for ourselves. Taken together, these lessons form a powerful set of skills: storytelling, problem solving, empathy, lifelong learning, high-growth thinking, relationship building, and mentorship. No one masters all of them overnight. These are not quick tricks. They are qualities developed slowly through practice, honesty, and patience. Even highly successful people spend years building them. The deeper message of the book is that you already have potential within you. Do not trap yourself inside small thinking. Stay focused on your goals. Stay close to people who challenge and inspire you. Be willing to work, sacrifice, and keep learning with humility. Many people who later changed the world were first dismissed as strange, unrealistic, or overly ambitious. But over time, their conviction turned into vision. That is the invitation this book leaves with you. Start now, prepare seriously. Stay committed, keep your mind open. Accept the discomfort of growth, and most importantly, enjoy the lifelong journey of becoming better, wiser, and stronger.